Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast with two guys in their 20s giving their perspective on the games that we love and the story behind it all. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. And, you've been all over the place. We weren't able to do it yesterday,
Yeah,
but we got you tonight, and it's good to have you. It's good to have you on.
it's good to be on. You make me sound like a celebrity or something,
No, no,
man.
no, no, no. I don't know why I said that. I'm like, I should have said it's just good to do this again.
Hey,
I was presenting you like a guest, Mr.
yeah, that's
Savon
what I
Morris.
was like. Well, I guess I am a guest today, but it's all good, man.
Yeah, but we have a lot of topics to get into today as usual. And to start it off, Loyola Chicago, the Cinderella team, the team that you said you were very convinced of,
Mhm.
heading down the stretch of the tournament. They've been this, they've been incredible. Dominated Kansas State um, yesterday, and now they're in the Final Four. And this is a veteran team. I mean, they spread the floor well, um, on point passing. They're locked in. They were really locked in defensively, and they're the fourth 11 seed to make it to the Final Four. And what they've been able to do, it's really remarkable. The last time they won a national championship was 63, and what they've been able to do so far in terms of just having four shot makers and then a big with Krutwick, who's made some really efficient passes in the high post. They've really been phenomenal, and in terms of their run, you really bought into them and how they've been playing. What are your thoughts on them going forward?
Well, like you said, I was big on them. Went back and watched some film, the games early in the season. Then I watched them in the March Madness, the tournament, and now I think I'm hoping and praying that they go all the way. I think they beat Michigan, and I think they can beat any other team on the other side, which is either Villanova and Kansas, which is kind of hard to say because we always say Villanova is one of the most consistent
Yeah,
teams in
I'm
NCAA
yeah,
basketball.
pretty huge on Villanova.
But I think Kansas can match Villanova, and I think Kansas will lose to Loyola Chicago, and I think Loyola will win it all. It's a Cinderella
Really,
team. They're the underdogs. I like underdogs. I like the basketball team. I like how they shoot the three. I like how they transition on basketball on the defensive side and the offensive side. I like this team. I like the all around who they are. So, I mean, I'm huge on them. I like the underdogs. I want them to win. I'm getting tired of seeing Villanova, Kansas, Kentucky, Duke. Let's get somebody else out there, or Wisconsin. I think when they had Krantz, let's just get somebody else to win. Come on, man.
yeah, yeah, and it's interesting you say that one of the CBS producers, he said something like pretty revealing. He said, "Yeah, Kentucky losing was bad for us," and you just wouldn't, because that, he says, that increases the ratings, the TV ratings, and you forget. And sometimes, even though Cinderellas are great, sometimes people, producers, they don't want these teams to advance. But for you think it is a good thing to expand this and have new teams in.
I guess, yeah, I'm thinking of a more sports side. Of course,
Right, yeah.
I would think that having an underdog team make it to the Final Four will have ratings through the roof, and they're playing a Michigan team, a good Michigan team that's ranked number 3 in the tournament. So I don't see a problem with them being up there and actually beating teams. Some teams they beat convincingly, some came down to the last seconds, and then they prevail. So why not have them in there? The ratings should be out the roof though. But in the vantage point I'm looking at, I'm thinking on the sports side. We always love underdogs. We always love teams that's not expected to win or expected to be in that predicament that they, are blessed to be in. But hey, uh, they should win. Forget that producer, CBS, whatever. It's
No,
okay.
no, 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 no. I mean, I understand what he was saying. It's just something I saw, and it was interesting because you don't really think of that, even though that factor is there. But
Yeah.
sometimes the blue bloods, they definitely do draw more. But um, Dante, Dante Ingram, he really dominated the glass, and Ben Richardson was extremely efficient from the perimeter, having a career high 23 points. And I mean, for me, with them heading to Michigan, I like Michigan in this matchup.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
and and the reason I say that is because I feel as though Michigan, they they were really bad from the perimeter last night. Wagner was over 7, and they were still able to find a way to win that game, struggling with Florida State's athleticism, and they even struggled with Houston's athleticism, but they were still able to get defensive stops late. And in the Houston game, they kind of won the game from the free throw line, knocking down some huge free throws. And then with Florida State, they completely just locked down defensively. And that's the thing I like about Michigan is when one thing breaks down, can you do another? Like with Kansas State, they couldn't score in the with their half court offense. Like it was just we're going to defend and stop everybody, but that's not enough. Like you have to score at one point, and that's what I like about Michigan in this matchup. I think Loyola Chicago has the tools to beat them, but I think Michigan has more weapons.
Well, yeah, I think so. Of course, it's a bigger D1 school, but
Oh, I mean,
percentage.
and it's not just that. I'm not just doing that just because it's a
No,
more
I mean, I think
established one.
it's a point that should be made. I mean, they get highly more better recruits than the other
Yeah.
school that's a Loyola Chicago, but in a close game, the percentage of winning is Loyola. I remember talking about it here. They're 78.5%
You've been saying it so
chances of
much.
winning.
You've
Yeah,
been saying it so much. It
it's like
eventually just
Spanish, man. I don't
yeah.
go. No. But no, to go back to it in close games, Loyola. There we go, YOLO. Uh,
Hey.
winning percentage in close games are 78%. Close games with Michigan at 66%. Against top 32 teams, they're 4-4. So I'm looking at the statistic wise and what Loyola can do on the basketball court. Yes, I think Michigan has the better talent. They have the more experience, even though they're 4-4. Loyola hasn't been against any like top 32 teams in regular season or whatever. But I get your point. But I just, I'll have them winning by like a 3 points. It's going to be a definitely close game.
Yes.
I think they're matched up pretty well. But I think the boys from Chicago, the boys are back in town. Chicago will prevail.
Yeah. I mean, I have Michigan in that game, but it definitely should be
Yeah.
a really good game. Um, well, Villanova was in a close one. Well, at one point a close one against Texas Tech before they pulled away. And the game I kind of want to allude to with Villanova, even though they beat Texas Tech to advance to the Final Four, was West Virginia. And there was that sequence. I don't know if you saw where Kanate had that just epic block, and then they score on the other. West Virginia scores on the next possession, and then Villanova's trailing by 6 with 11 minutes left, and then they go on a 22-6 run. And it's just crazy how they have the craziest or just the deadliest knockout punch to me of any team in this tournament left, because their offense is incredible. One of the best offensive teams we've seen in the last several years, and also how they can lock in defensively. And you got so many offensive weapons with Brunson and Mikal Bridges and Amari Spellman. The list goes on and on. And for me, I feel as though Villanova is the team where I just don't see anybody beating them. Now it can happen, but for me, I feel as though that's the team I'm giving the edge to, because I love their talent, I love the experience, and I love how they've been in tough situations and they found ways to get through that, and they seem really battle tested. But to you, if there is a front runner, I know you really like Loyola. Is there another team outside of that you could possibly see winning it all?
Out of the four, I mean, you just said it, Villanova.
Yeah.
Villanova. Um, it's kind of hard to go against them. 8-1 against top 32 teams. The first in average points this year, 87. They put points on the board, offensive efficiency. They're a great basketball team. It's hard to go against a team that's well polished as Villanova is. Remind me of a Spurs team. It's always a team that's like an ideal model of what you want. Villanova is one for college basketball. Spurs is one for NBA basketball. So it's kind of hard to go against those guys. And they recruit well. They definitely recruit well, especially from the past experience and um, um, success. Sorry, success
Yeah.
they have in previous
Extremely well
seasons.
coached team.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard against them. I want to see them and Loyola to against each other, but I don't think I'm going on a limb. I don't think they make it out of Kansas. I don't think they made it. They make it out of Texas against Kansas.
Okay. Dealing with dealing with Kansas because you keep bringing them up, and they just had a thrilling game with Duke, where Grayson Allen almost had a chance to win it, and that I don't know how that thing did not go in. It was so close to I don't know if you saw it, but it was so close to going in near
Yeah,
the end of regulation, and it just seemed like one of those things where Kansas was just just meant to win that game, and then Malik Newman 32 points and he had 13 in overtime, so he had a phenomenal game, and Kansas was able to pull out a thriller. But in terms of what Kansas can do, I mean they're kind of a zone busting team. Duke had that, has the incredible 2-3 zone, but Kansas was able to find ways to exploit that. And then Adoka went out. He was fouled out, but they were still able to, Malik Newman was able to step up for them in terms of what Kansas has, because Devontae Graham, one of the best players in the country, and all of those things. What do you like in particular about Kansas?
I like their speed, man.
Yeah.
Like you just said, they're strategic enough to know what the defense is giving them and make the best out of the situations. And I think, especially in a tournament, sometimes talent can't win ball games from you. You have to be smart. You have to be intellectual. You have to know the game from the back end, from the front end. So I like Kansas because Kansas has experience too. They're 8-1 against top 32 teams as well. So they've been here before. They've been to the Big Dance. They've been to the Final Four, Elite Eight. They've been in the same predicament. They're number one on the bracket as well as winning over for a reason because they're 31-7. But they have the potential, they have the ability to beat the best team in the tournament. Well, one of the best teams in the tournament. I have Virginia winning it all before they got upset. But I like the smarts of this team, man. They know how to play basketball. Having talent is one thing, but having guys on the court that knows how to maneuver around different zones. Because the 2-3 zone, it has some flaws. Of course,
Yes.
they found them, but if 2-3 zone is run well, it takes out the inside of the court. And also, if you crash harder, or if they try to shoot the three, you can crash. You can contest the shot. So if a 2-3 zone is run perfectly, it can make offenses go crazy. So them kind of maneuvering around and finding the holes and the flaws of the defense, that just lets me know that they're well coached and they know the game of basketball. And I think that's what the edge they have. Not taking anything from Villanova, but that's what I like about them, the intellectual side of basketball. Gotta have brains,
Yeah.
you gotta have this. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And for Duke, I mean, Trayvon Duval had 20 points. I mean, Bagley had 16 and 10. In terms of what Duke was able to do, they kind of started to gel near the end of the season. You weren't fully convinced on them, but what are your final thoughts on Duke as they exit before the Final Four?
Grayson Allen is not a clutch player. That's what I got from it. I'm still not a big fan of Grayson Allen at all. I don't think I'm a fan at all. But
Wow,
yeah.
that
I
was
mean,
that was a, that was a
yeah, that was a shot.
concise statement.
I went right to him because me watching film on him in different basketball games, I just wasn't sold on the type of player that people are trying to make him to be. But then those type of players that you're trying to make into stars come up. Kobe Bryant would have hit that shot. Let's go to college basketball. Carmelo Anthony would have hit that shot. Derrick Rose would probably hit that shot. Steph Curry probably. Dwayne Wade from Marquette will probably hit that shot. So big time players make big time plays when it's on the line.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I feel as though this extra year helped him. He did become, like Coach K, more refined as not only as a player but as a leader for this team, because I don't think they may have not gotten as far without a leader like Grayson Allen, and I think that's why it was so big for him to come back his senior year for this team in particular, because of the leadership that he could provide. But there definitely are some holes, like you said. He can be streaky at times, but I mean he can also on the contrast he can be a very good shooter and have great shooting barrages. So it definitely was a type of season where there are a lot of expectations, because we said
Mm-hmm.
preseason number one, and just fell short of a Final Four. So definitely a great game there. Transitioning to the NBA, we're gonna talk about Kyrie eventually after this topic, but another injury happened that following night with Steph Curry and the MCL sprain in his knee, and he's going to be out for the rest of the regular season. And but he's probable to come back for probably the second round because Steve Kerr said today, look, there's no way he's coming back first round.
Yeah.
And the
36
Warriors are
weeks.
13. Yeah, the Warriors are
Oh.
13-8 without him, but 41-10 with him. And after their loss to Minnesota, it's interesting. Kevin Durant said something, quote, Steph is the system here. And, that's just kind of how I feel about it. Like, if they're going to make another run to the finals, he's got to be healthy. He's got to be himself. And I know for you, you're like, hey, I still feel as though they can make it, without him. But, for me, I feel as though he's just the impact he has is extremely significant. But put that aside in terms of just the injury and what it means for this team. What are your thoughts?
It's a loss. And now that I continue to watch him without him playing, when he's on the court, like you said, he's a difference maker.
Yeah.
He's like a magnet. He makes everybody better by everyone keying on him. So without him, they can win without him. They've shown that. I mean, 13-8 is not a bad record without your star basketball player because but they weren't completely healthy when he was out. So you had Draymond Green kind of banged up. You had Kevin
Right.
Durant banged up. You had a couple other players that were hurt. So for them to win without him, everyone has to be healthy. So if everyone's not healthy, if Kevin Durant is not 100%, Draymond's not 100%, then they can't be successful. They can't win basketball games. Somebody has to be completely healthy. Iguodala can't do it by himself. Swaggy P can't do it by himself. It's like different players on the
Quentin
basketball
Cook has
team
been
that are.
good.
Yeah, he has. He has. He's been playing good basketball, but he's no Kevin Durant. He's no Steph Curry.
Right.
Can't forget Klay Thompson was banged up too. So everyone
Yes.
has to be healthy. But without Steph Curry, I think they could get. Of course, they could get past round one. I think they could get past round two. To be
Yeah.
frank, but
Now
to
the
win it
conference
all,
finals, that's
yeah,
the conference finals is a different story.
yeah, they're gonna need him when they play the Rockets.
Houston.
They're gonna definitely need him. I don't think they need him against the Spurs because I don't think Kawhi is coming back, and without Kawhi, they're not a top contender for the West. So I think they're number 6 right now, but.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a big miss for them to win it all, but I think they can win enough to get there without him.
Yeah. And according to Spectrum, it's an analytics um source. They say they're in the top two of offensive categories when he's there. But when he's not, they're in the bottom half, and they're with him first in transition, first in drives, first in handoffs, second in isolation. Without him, tied for 17th in transition, tied for 17th in drives, tied for 25th in handoffs, and 26th in isolation. So the effect is definitely missed there. But like you said, there have been other players who haven't been there that's also affected that. It's not just if Steph's not there, but you still have Draymond and Clay and Durant, then maybe that's a different story for the regular
Yeah.
season. But obviously, they're losing games because they don't have a lot of those guys. And do you feel like it's one of those things where, look, the Warriors really haven't suffered that many injuries, um, in the past, couple of years. I mean, obviously, you had the injury to KD last year, and Steph had a bit of an injury the second year, but not like just significant long-term injuries. Do you feel as though it's one of those things where it's just an accumulation of, hey, you've been going through so many final runs that it's eventually going to catch up with you?
Yeah, I mean, injuries are inevitable. It's part of the game. Um, I'm kind of thinking, is Steph Curry durable? He's had injuries at Davidson. He has injuries when a couple 2-3 years ago, the same thing. He had 2 injuries this year. So I'm thinking, is Steph Curry losing? I know he's a good basketball player, and when he's healthy, he's on fire. But we saw that in different players like Brandon Roy, Derrick Rose, guys who are top of their game, and then even oh gosh, basketball player from Orlando Magics. Come on, man.
Um,
Penny Hardaway. There we go.
yeah, Penny
Penny
Hardaway.
Hardaway, great career. Then he started getting plagued by injuries. Do we think Steph Curry can gonna falls in this line? I know you asked me a question, I posed another question, but yeah, I think it is. You going straight different NBA Finals back to back, trying to break the record, doing all this stuff, trying to compensate for different people being out. It takes a toll. So
Yeah,
then I posed this question: Is KD is Steph Curry durable? You know, because
right.
KD has had many injuries in the past too. But mostly, I'll pose this question about Curry. Do you think Curry is durable? Can he last? Will injuries continue to plague him? I know JaVale McGee fell on his knee,
JaVale,
and
yeah.
yeah, JaVale. Sorry, I call him JaVale. JaVale. Tomato. Everybody loves Hakuna Matata, but but
JaVale fell on Wardell's.
that's a big guy falling on a 6'3" basketball
Yeah,
player, man. But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
do you think Steph Curry's durable?
I do, and the reason I say that is because we had major concerns like earlier in his career. They had questions, between keeping him or Monte Ellis, and
Mm-hmm.
they decided to trade away Monte Ellis, but um, it, it was one of those things where they still have the confidence that he could turn things around and be healthy. But it's for me, I feel as though he can stay healthy because I don't see him as the type of having just devastating injuries after another like Brandon Roy or Derrick Rose. But erring on the side of caution, erring on the side of caution and not constantly being put in situations where like Steve Kerr said, we're not bringing, even if he's ready to come back first round, we're gonna err on the side of caution. And I think that's what the good thing about this, Golden State um, coaching staff is, that they're gonna err on the side of caution and not try to put him in, harm's way, where sometimes, you know, coaches may be swayed just if the player says he's ready, just, put him back in there. So yeah.
Okay. So kind of like the certain situation with Kawhi Leonard. Well, he's keeping
Right.
himself out. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we shall see, of course. But I don't know. I hope those injuries don't plague his career because it's.
Yeah, I
I
definitely don't.
mean,
Yeah.
he's at the top of his career right now. He's in the peak of his
He's
career. So
yeah, he's in his prime, and that
yeah.
would be the devastating part of it. Um, Another injury is Kyrie Irving's. He's out for 3 to 6 weeks. Underwent a knee surgery to remove tension wire in his left knee, and that was originally inserted for the fractured patella in the 2015 finals. That first game against Golden State where he had that injury, and he could return as early as the first round playoff series. That's still up in the air, but he's the third Celtics player in the last 10 days to undergo surgery. Daniel Tice, he's out for the season with a torn meniscus, and Marcus Smart has a torn thumb tendon. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they can defend without him during stretches, but offensively, that's where the drought is, and Marcus Morris and Jason Tatum have kind of carried the offensive load. But for the Celtics, and just the ton of injuries they're having, and now with Kyrie, what do you think about how they can fare in the rest of this regular season in the playoffs?
Well, they're on a 3-game winning streak. They just literally beat the Sacramento Kings not too long ago. So it's looking okay for them, but they need Kyrie. They're gonna definitely need Kyrie to be healthy in the 3 weeks or so how long it takes. They need to win without him. They can win without him. It's gonna be a long series though. It just depends on who they get. Uh, but you can't lose your top scorer. Your top scorer, your top assist guy. He's right behind Jason Tatum in the 3 point with I think 41.3% from the 3 point line. Jason Tatum is 42. They just got Jaylen Brown back from a concussion. So these guys have to be healthy. If your top guys out, you have Marcus Morris out, you have different guys going out for the season. But we all know, let's be frank, that we all know they need Kyrie Irving. He's the scorer of the team. He's the assist leader of the team. He's the leader of the team, averaging 25, 30 minutes a game. So you need your best player.
Yeah.
It's cut dry pace. They can't win without him. They can't win NBA Finals or be a top contender in the playoffs without Kyrie Irving. It's impossible. If they had
Yeah.
Gordon Hayward, maybe, but they don't have him. He's out. He's out with the first game of the season. So man, it's kind of tough. That's a tough
There's
thing.
something about this season has just been, I don't know,
Off.
just
Yeah.
weird. Just with all the injuries, it just seemed like it's one of those seasons where it's not meant to be for them to make that deep of a run, and they're not equipped to make that deep of a run without a player like Gordon Hayward. And obviously, if you have Kyrie back healthy and things are going according to plan, it can be a different story. But I mean, I, I kind of see this team's peak now, like at a second round. Originally I thought Eastern Conference Finals, but I kind of feel like second round may be like having a competitive second round may be like the final point of them in the playoffs. And it's going to be interesting to see kind of how um, Brad Stevens fares with this, because look, they've beaten two of the top four teams in the West,
Yeah.
OKC and Portland. So, I mean, even without all of those, with a lot of those, significant players, they're still able to be competitive. And that's, I think, you give a lot of credit to Brad Stevens, because I think he's one of the, you know, most innovative coaches in the league right now. And so do you think, in terms of their playoff push, it's kind of just like you said, it just boils down to, is Kyrie healthy?
Yes. It boils down to Kyrie's healthy. Then I was going to ask you: is were you saying that was with or without Kyrie with the second round?
Um,
Is that with
I,
Kyrie or a healthy Kyrie or?
yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna say with Kyrie. I definitely think they can push it to a 6 and 7 game series with Kyrie. But yeah, I'm just I don't know. It's like so much has kind of changed in the East that it doesn't feel as though the Eastern Conference Finals is their peak. They can get there with a healthy Kyrie, but I'm leaning towards second round exit.
That's a that's a healthy find, man. Second round, second round with it. Okay, but I mean,
I'm thinking, I know we're about to talk about this team, but I'm thinking we may be in for a Cavs Raptors Eastern Conference Finals. But
oh yikes! You sure about that? Well,
that's just what I'm leaning toward. I mean, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, ahead of ourselves, way ahead of ourselves. But
I mean, right now it looks that way. I mean, if Kyrie's not back and Marcus Morris is not ready to go, I mean, Rozier is a decent play. He had 33 points tonight,
yeah,
but it's not enough. It's definitely not enough to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. But
yeah. And the team we were just talking about, Cleveland, Tyronn Lue last Monday, the report came out that he was going to be on a leave of absence, and it was a health issue and concerns, and kind of similar to, maybe not exactly, but kind of similar to the Steve Kerr situation, where last year he went out for a bit, then came back, game two of the finals, and I mean, obviously with Steve Kerr, he's you know there's reports that he's still going through pain with some of those issues. But with Tyronn Lue and how the Cavs have been playing, they're on a current 5 game winning streak, and LeBron has on Wednesday, he was the first player to have at least 35 points, 15 rebounds, no turnovers, had a phenomenal game, and he's been playing at a extremely high level, again. And then Kevin Love coming back with being a significant addition. So I've kind of got a two-part question for you with Tyronn Lue and that issue, and how and if you think the Cavs are starting to gel a little bit.
well, the Tyron Lue situation is it just goes to show you how hard it is to be on that stage and on that level of success and to continue to keep that success because the reports say he's coughing up blood, his chest was hurting,
Mm,
he was losing sleep. So And then now they say that now he's not coaching or he's away from the game. He's getting more sleep, of course, long hours, having strategy meetings with different personnel people, talking to managers, whatever the case may be. It's a lot of stress that comes with being a head coach of a basketball team that is expected to go to the NBA Finals every single year with LeBron James. But it's hard. It's hard, man. I think it's hard for them as a team to see their head coach going through that. But to go to the are they gelling? It's kind of hard to tell because it's spurts, man. They'll go as soon as they got Jordan Clarkson and Nance Jr. and George Hill and other guys. They went on like a 3-4 game winning streak. I was like, oh, the Cavs are back. Then they start losing again. And now they're on a 5-game winning streak. Tyronn Lue, they rallying behind him. It's kind of hard to tell. It's sporadic. So we know the consistency of LeBron James, but we don't know the consistency of the rest of the team. We don't know what we're going to get. We don't know if J.R. Smith is going to be excellent behind the free throw line, cooking up like Steph Curry, or he's going to be breaking like Robert Horry in his last years of basketball. So
he hit some big shots.
Yeah, I'm talking about like,
big shot Rob.
He came off the bench. I'm talking about like he didn't really shoot well, like everybody, whatever.
I'm just saying when you said that, I thought of that Lakers Sacramento series now, and I just thought of that shot going in. Just saying.
And then the Spurs one too. The Spurs shot too. That he turned around. Yeah, whatever. But those are big. I'm talking about consistently hitting them all night. Yeah, because when J.R. Smith is on, he's on. But we don't know the consistency of these players. We know LeBron. Everybody knows LeBron. We take him for granted. Like, LeBron's always going to get 35 points, 10 rebounds, whatever. But I don't know if they're gelling. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. It's too sporadic.
Yeah.
They're going to win the streak.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of think they are because one of the lineups that they have that is like extremely tough to defend is Love at center. And the only
surprise.
And the only one that the only pretty much lineup that was able to stop that last year was Golden State. And for that lineup, you just have to all you can do is outscore them to stop it because offensively it's so difficult to stop. And with Love back, you just see that trust that LeBron has. He's got that guy in the corner that he's confident in that is going to knock down that shot. With Rodney Hood or another addition, maybe not, or even Jordan Clarkson, maybe not so much. But with a guy like Kevin Love, I think that trust factor is back, and it's kind of like a reinforcer to me. I'm not saying that it's like the game against Toronto told me everything, but it's one of those things where it's like Toronto's going to have to get past LeBron if they want to get to the finals, and I'm still not confident that can happen. And even though that they have significantly improved from the team that they once were, there's still, question marks.
That's interesting you say that. And I'm kind of sad that you said that.
Well, yeah, for you, you've talked about how big you are on Toronto. They definitely have been, the best team in the East. But I'm talking about in terms of, I don't know, I just don't know why, but I feel as though that's going to kind of be the team they have to get past. And I know they kind of want to avoid them as long as possible because I know they probably don't want to see them in the second round and would rather eventually just have to see them in the Eastern Conference Finals if Cleveland could get past to Boston.
Yeah. Man, it's kind of I definitely want to say that it's going to be hard to get past LeBron this year because it's always hard. I don't think it's going to be hard this year. I don't think we talked about this. I don't think he has the same team in previous seasons that we've solidified them. Hey, Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, this is the most vulnerable
yes.
team he's had in a long time.
So we have a young, polished basketball team in Toronto that has beat all odds, have been consistent with two players, and that build around those two players in DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. Those guys have been consistent enough. I wish they would have kept Lou Williams. I hated that they got rid of him and traded him away.
Who I also wish that sorry to cut you off, but do you know who I also wish they or also hate that they traded away. I kind of feel like maybe too soon is PJ Tucker
Yeah,
because that's a guy who
yeah,
can defend like
yeah.
a lot off of switches, and he would be able to maybe possibly defend the LeBron, but now you kind of have um Ibaka and other players of that category, and that's really not gonna really be a deterrent to LeBron.
Not at all. And I think Baca has fell off since his day from OKC because he was a big defender in the post game, and he was a versatile big man. He couldn't shoot the jump shot that well, but he made people go crazy in the post game when he dunked or alley hoops or block shots. But he's fallen off. He's not as polished as he used to be. But I really wish the one player I really wish they would have kept because he was a great six man. He could come and he could start in the lineup with Lou Williams, but they don't have him. But I think they have enough to beat LeBron to get past LeBron. I think they do.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But the Cavs are, seem to be finding maybe a little bit of chemistry, but we'll see how that goes once they make their playoff run. Another team that's hoping to get a star back is the Spurs, and it's looking more and more like it's not going to happen. They held a players only meeting a couple days ago, and it was pretty much just a lot of players were just voicing their frustration and maybe just not really buying in the fact of like the of his of the legitimacy of his injury, and just questioning things of that nature. And he has been involved in 3-on-3 workouts, and in a couple of 3-on-3 and 4-on-4 workouts, and some scrimmages. But in terms of the Spurs questioning the Spurs players questioning things, and just him not still not him still not being back, like Manu Ginobili was saying that, look, we just have to prepare like he's not going to come back, because
Yeah,
we're just gonna we can't just wait for him, because this may just be the team we have to 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 go ahead with as we're making another playoff run, and just trying to get into the playoffs, because they're currently a 6 seed with a loaded West.
yeah. But to add to that, uh, oh yeah, oh Danny Green. There we go. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Danny Green said it wasn't just about him. He said we talk to each other like grown men, like an adults. Nobody's emotional in the locker room. So I don't think it was mainly about him. I think to refocus who the team
Right.
was with or without him. I'm pretty sure he definitely came up in a conversation. Of course, he feels like he's
Yeah,
not.
that was the thing. He was one of the main subjects at one point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they made it seem like it was just about him. Like they
Right.
were coming at, hey, you're not really hurt and all this stuff. But if a player doesn't feel like he's ready to come back fully, he doesn't want to be injured because he's been injured the past 2 seasons. And I think he came back too quickly from the injury from the last season against when they lost to the Rockets, whatever. Um, but then he's up for a contract extension, $200 million. Then he's a free agent in 2019. But like Ginobili said, I mean, they have to play with or without him. They have to prepare like he's not going to come back. But can they win without him? No, we've seen that when he was injured, they got mollywopped.
Right.
They weren't the same team. It's like them playing without Tim Duncan, or playing without Tony Parker, who was injured in a couple series back in the day because he's a four-time NBA champion. Um, but they can't win without him. They can't win series without him. Not at all. No.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-mm.
I definitely feel as though that's not their strong suit, and really, it's been a season where it hasn't been the traditional Spurs season.
Mm-mm.
They've struggled more. They've At one point they were out of the playoff race, which is unfathomable to think about that ever happening, or ever being a possibility with the model, with the consistency that they've built. So it definitely should be interesting to see how things evolve. But it's looking more and more like he's not coming back this postseason. But we'll see. Um, Russell Westbrook has kind of always had a major struggle from the perimeter. He's only shooting 29% from the three this season, and it's he one of the things he said was back in 2014 was, quote, "I need to stop taking as many as I'm taking, to tell you the truth. I'm going to take those down as the season goes along," end quote. And one of the things that have kind of been a struggle for him is maybe taking shots, perimeter shots that have taken his team out of games. When he's scoring in the paint, driving at will, he's phenomenal. Obviously, one of the best players in the league. But one of the things that has kind of been a kryptonite for him is the perimeter shooting, and how that's been a struggle for him. But they have more success when he doesn't shoot from the perimeter. So do you feel as though it's something where he's struggling to not just go to it because it's a popular a very typical shot that point guards take in the league, or do you feel as though it's one of those things where he's kind of starting to figure out, like, look, this is not a shot that I'm successful at?
I think it's a point where he wants to add it to his game. I think he
Right.
wants to be an all-around point guard. We all know he's a slasher. He works the pick and roll better than anybody in the league, I think, behind James Harden. He's one of those guys who can make his own lane to the hole, but shooting threes is not his forte. I think he's trying to, just like LeBron, he's trying to add it to his game. LeBron hasn't proved his three-point shooting the years with Cavaliers and going into Miami. He's improved his shot so well. And I think, like you said, when he's not shooting, I think he shot more when he was with KD than Paul George and Carmelo Anthony. It's something that you have to realize that you can't shoot your way out of it. You
Right.
have to realize what kind of player you are. You're a slasher. Work the pick and roll. Get the guys who are more equipped to shoot the three, like Paul George, who's shooting for 40% from the 3-point line. So I think it's a pride thing. He wants to be that type of guy. He can pull up, he can shoot the three and be successful at it, like Steph Curry, or be successful at it like Damian Lillard, or I give you another one, John Wall, who can shoot the three well.
Right.
So he's not. It's not a part of his game. I think he's trying to add that, but you can't add that in those situations. You got to be smart. That's why I say it goes back to being intellectual as well as having the talent. We all know the Russell has the talent, but sometimes he takes bullheaded shots. He's not consistent enough. He has to. His game is slashing and working the pick and roll. That's what you do. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Don't shoot your team out of trying to win, or shoot your team into a deficit that you can't come back from.
Yeah, and that's you know and that's definitely one of the interesting things. He's near a career high in field goal percentage this season, 45%, and he's also almost shooting like a career best 49% just from regular 2 pointers, and and that's kind of been one of the major things that it's been a give and take. Like, is he going to finally accept that, look, this is not a shot that I'm successful with, and just be a drive to the basket more and make more shots in the paint. So that definitely has been an interesting factor with things. Um, our last topic for the NBA and I guess college combined is Trae Young and his decision to declare for the draft. And obviously he had a phenomenal season, was probably one of the most polarizing players in college basketball, leading Division 1 in scoring and assist. The first one of the first freshmen to ever was he the first freshman to ever do that?
I want to say yes,
Or
but I'm not completely sure.
well, yeah, he definitely an illustrious group that he's in, if he wasn't the first to do that, and had an early tournament exit to Rhode Island. But with his transition to the NBA, what are your thoughts on how that goes?
Uh, the kid, he's going to have to be mentally tough to make it, because we've seen a lot of good players, especially at the point guard position, come in and fail. Well, not meet expectations that everybody thought they did in college. You look at just the one that's recent and relevant, Lonzo Ball. Everyone thought he was going to come in and be this great scorer, great facilitator, all around great basketball player. But he came in and he was just a regular milk dud, just a dud. That doesn't mean he can't progress, but Trae Young has to be mentally ready. We know he can make the three ball. We know he can put points up, 50 points, I think twice this year. So we know he can
Right.
score the basketball, but can you handle the wear and tear of the season? Can you handle not coming off the bench and not being the number one guy? Can you handle all this stuff? Are you mentally prepared? So it's kind of, I don't know. And then I think he's not top 10. I don't think he's a top 10 player, to be honest. I think he'll do well if the New York Knicks draft. I think he'll do well with the Knicks because they desperately need of a point guard, and I think he'll go well with Porzingis with the pick and roll and then shoot the three. So, but that's the number one thing I've thought about him. He has to be mentally tough. He can make baskets. We know he can average 20, 30 points a game, but on the other end, you have to be mentally prepared and tough enough. Can you face
Yeah.
adversity in the NBA, the ever so changing NBA?
Yeah. And that's really one of the interesting things about it. Is that he does have to be mentally tough because when you have so much hype coming in from college to the pros, Lonzo Ball experienced that his first game, Patrick Beverly just targeted him, just went at
Yeah,
him, and it was almost like a rude awakening. Like this is how the league is, and they're going to be coming at you every night, especially with some of the best guards in the league, with him dealing with point guards in the West. So that definitely is one of those things where I definitely see that. Well, one benefit he has, he doesn't have somebody, you know,
a
a father who's
distraction.
constantly, yeah, a father who's kind of revving that up and motivating people to do that. So,
Right.
but it definitely should be interesting to see how he can make that development because defensively not that good. He got exposed in the Rhode Island game. Do you think that's
Yeah,
one of the biggest question marks for him?
it could definitely be. You have to be a two. Well, I won't even say that. Some players are not a two-way player. Some players won't play great defense. He just needs enough defense. To be
Right.
honest, he's not a big guy. I don't think teams will look at his defense and be like, okay, we'll pass upon him because most of the time teams want players who can score the basketball. They can get situational players that can come in and play good defense off the bench. They don't really need their top guy to play defense, which is kind of like what the question marks all around. But
Yeah.
if you look at Kyrie, Kyrie doesn't play great basketball. Great defensive basketball sometimes, but he can put up
He's a
buckets. He can
yeah.
assist. Yeah, I
He's a
mean,
capable team defender in Brad Stevens' system though. And you have to at least be that. Like
yeah,
Brad Stevens' system, you kind of have to at least be a team defender. And if you can do that, like even Steph, like he's not a great defender, but he's a pretty good team defender. And that's kind of like what like that's kind of what I see with some of the elite guards and just overall in the league.
yeah. I agree.
Transitioning to the NFL, the Browns they're in a position where they've made a lot of moves so far in the offseason, and for the draft, selecting the first quarterback overall seems like the likely position for them to be in. And I mean, they've got options with defensive lineman Bradley Chubb, running back Saquon Barkley, defensive back Minka Fitzpatrick, and they can have a pretty special first round. And with all of those options out there, it seems as though like the ideal thing for them is to get a quarterback and also get a player from at a different position who they could desperately use. And I think a player like Minka Fitzpatrick, a shutdown corner, probably would be their best bet. But you do like those two other options I said are available as well. Um, what do you think about what they need to accomplish in the draft and what players they should go after?
Um, right now, I don't think the focal point should be a quarterback. To be honest, um, you get Tyrod Taylor, you get Drew Stanton, you get guys who have enough experience to win football games. Excuse me, talking about basketball all the time. You get guys who have experience to just sign Drew Stanton to a 2-year deal, sign Tyrod Taylor. They saw their cornerback. I mean, their safety, well, the secondary kind of out of whack. They allowed 27 touchdowns this year. I think they were like number 29 in the NFL with passing touchdowns allowed on them. So they get Damaris Randall. Um, they get EJ Gaines, who was top 10 cornerback from Pro Football Hall of Fame, top ranking of cornerbacks or whatever. You go get TJ Carey, Terrence Mitchell. So I think they should get a running back. Isaiah Crowell is out of his contract. You still have Duke Johnson. I don't think Duke can be that number one guy. He has wear and tears. He has injuries throughout his career. You get Saquon Barkley, or you get a Nick Chubbs or a Sonny Michel, who are, a good quarterback, good running back. You can do both, versatile out of the backfield, can catch the ball, run the ball, whatever that case may be. And then you get more weapons for Tyrod Taylor and Drew Stanton. You got Jarvis Landry. You still have the beast from Baylor, but you get some more weapons. You go get a tight end, or get some just defensive mindset. Right now, I don't think the quarterback position. I know I'm rambling. The quarterback position is not a main focal point right now. It's one of them, but I don't think you should stress about it. To get rid of Deshaun Kaiser, you can send him to Wisconsin. So the Green Bay Packers, my team, which I really didn't like that. but
Wow.
I don't think the quarterback position should be the most focal, because they've been focusing on the quarterback position since Brandon Weeden. That's crazy. Yeah. Brandon Weeden, Johnny Manziel, Deshaun Kaiser. Should have got Deshaun Watson, but they got Deshaun Kaiser. Or they could have got Patrick Mahomes, but they got Deshaun Kaiser. I don't know why. They've been focusing on the quarterback position for a long time. So now, and they had Colt McCoy. So I don't think the focus point, you should get a decent quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, Drew Stanton. Tyrod has success with the Bills, and build around him. That's what you do. Joe Flacco, terrible quarterback. They built around and won a Super Bowl. Look at Matt Ryan. Not a subpar quarterback. They built around a Julio Jones, Sanu, Tyler Gabriel, different people in the system. Get a mediocre quarterback, a decent quarterback that can win, and just build around the guy. Sheesh. It's terrible, man.
Yeah, definitely. And another player, like with Bradley Chubb, you have that's an aggressive pass rusher you could go after. I mean, 21 sacks, 46.5 tackles. His last few seasons at NC State. I mean, that is another option. But for you feel as though they're pretty set at the quarterback position. It's just, look, that's kind of, we don't need to keep going over that. After that, we need to, try to find ways to build around this, like, as you were saying.
They will most definitely draft the quarterback, because they have 2 picks in the first round. They have 3 picks in the second round. They will draft a quarterback, but they won't draft early. They definitely won't draft a quarterback early. I think they'll learn from the mistakes. New GM. I think they'll go with the running back position or deep. They won't draft Chubbs. They will not draft him. They just got Myles Garrett. They don't need another pass rusher. They have the defensive line is ripped. Then you look at the left tackle position. They have to fulfill that because Joe Thomas just retired, so they have a missing spot. So they'll draft a lineman too. So that's why I say the focal point right now is just not the quarterback position. You need the left tackle position filled. That's why I think they got Tyrod Taylor, Drew Stanton, because they knew they weren't going to spend that much money on a quarterback again and make the same mistake that they've done before. So they don't want to get Chubbs, though. Chubbs is a great defensive end. I think he'll go somewhere else. I don't think that's why they got Myles Garrett last year. So I think they either go with the left tackle, running back, or linebacker. Because I think they addressed the secondary position enough right now, so they won't go after anybody big.
Yeah, and that it'll definitely be interesting to see what moves they make as they've made a ton of moves this current offseason. Our final topic. What?
No, I'm saying did they they definitely.
Oh yeah, that's really true. Like they have, but have they? Yeah.
I think Jarvis Landry was a great move for them. I think
that's kind of the move I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Okay.
That was a good move. But our last topic for today is Johnny Manziel and his possibility of the possibility of can he find a way back into the league. And he was throwing at the University of San Diego Pro Day, and a lot of teams were there to see him. A lot of different scouts, the Patriots, Bears, Chargers, Giants, Chiefs, and did show signs of arm strength and athleticism. But the question is always the accuracy and obviously the cloud over him with all the different scandals and things of that nature. Do you think there's a shot he can find a way back in the league, or do you think it's one of those things where that's kind of sealed, that's not going to happen?
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. I think Cleveland Browns let that be known for everyone. They took a chance on him. They took a chance on a guy who's 6 foot, showed decent arm strength, was not accurate. He was more accurate on the run, but he wasn't a great quarterback. He wasn't accurate. I think 2015 was sacked 19 times. His quarterback rating was a 79.4. He only started 9 games, granted, but when I saw him at the quarterback position, he didn't look comfortable. He wasn't fluent. He didn't have the offensive line's best interest, I would say. But we already have another Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield. I don't think any other team will want him because Baker Mayfield is in a draft. He's a bigger and better Johnny Manziel. He's more accurate with the ball. He's
better version.
Better version of Johnny. He's cocky, very confident in who he is, which I love about the guy. And he's a winner. He has a big arm. He's accurate. He can make plays. But Johnny getting back into the NFL he has a slim chance to that. I don't think any team will want to. I mean, why? Why would they want to? I don't know.
I mean, it's just all nose. I mean, it's just nose everywhere. Like I don't see the reason they would want to do it. I mean, and do you think it's the last question I'll pose to you? Do you think it's more of the production questions or just the character questions? Because obviously, scouts and coaches care about that as well.
I think it's production, to be honest, because they'll take a guy who had a past and kind of try to mold him. And if you have enough talent and in your first 2 years you didn't produce like we thought you were going to produce, and then you add off-field, struggles and things to the fire, and then you complain about not seeing behind the offense. You can't see behind the offensive line. Nobody wants that. Now, if he was productive, he didn't throw 5 interceptions, he only threw 1,500 yards, pass rating of 79, then teams, if it was better than that, teams will, okay, we could take a chance. We might need a second-string, third-string quarterback. We might take a chance on you. But the production value of what he brings to the table is not enough for a team to take a risk. And right now, teams are not trying to take a risk. I don't see any team trying to get him, to be honest. Yeah. I think it was more so, okay, let's see what he's been up to, just in case. But I think it's enough great quarterbacks in the draft and in the free agency for them to pick from instead of Johnny Manziel, 6 foot quarterback who has no accuracy whatsoever. He can't see over the offensive line. That's his words exactly. That was terrible, man.
Well, Russell Wilson and Drew Brees have done well with that. They didn't have the best stature, but they found ways to do that. So
he didn't take from the playbook. None of those guys complained. Yeah, but hey.
Yeah, that's that is enough to end. I can't see over the offensive line. But
that's why I threw the interception. Oh God. Okay, Johnny.
Wow.
Okay, Johnny.
But that wraps it up for tonight, I should say. Good talking to you again, man.
Of course. Always have fun.
Yeah. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. This is Full Scope. See you later.